Welcome back everyone to this lecture on the between keyword operator. The between operator can be used to match a value against a range of values. So for example, we can ask, where is a value between a low and a high? And this is essentially going to be a condition you can tag along with a where statement. You should note that using the between operator is essentially the same as asking individually where a value is greater than or equal to low and a value is less than or equal to high. So note that the low and the high here are both inclusive. So it's actually including the endpoints there. You can also combine the between keyword with the not logical operator, essentially asking where is the value not between low and high. And this is the same as asking value less than low or value greater than high. Note here that we are exclusive of the actual low point and high point. So what I mean by that is for the not between statement, if you're saying something like value not between 8 and 9, if a value happens to be 8, it's not going to be included in the not between. Versus, if we take a look back at the between statement, that is inclusive, meaning if you wanted a value between 8 and 9, it would actually include 8s and 9s there. So keep that in mind. And if you want to change exclusivity versus inclusivity, you can just go back and use the AND operator and then specify less than or equal to manually yourself with the comparison operators. Now, the between operator can also be used with dates. You should note that you need to format dates, in this case, in the ISO 8601 standard format, which is essentially just 4 numbers for the year, a dash, then 2 numbers for the month, a dash, and then 2 numbers for the date, or the actual day. So that means it would look something like, where is the date between, and then as a string with single quotes in that particular format, year, 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 dash, month, month, dash, day, day, and then the other dates. Something to keep in mind is when using the between operator with dates, that also include timestamp information, so not just the actual day, but also the hour, minutes, and seconds. You should pay careful attention to using the between operator, especially since we have that issue of inclusivity versus exclusivity of the not between. So you should take into account the fact that a date time, that is both the date and the actual time information, would start at 0-100 hours. So that may have an effect depending on what the actual situation is and whether you want inclusivity or exclusivity around that midnight time or 0-100 hour time. Later on, we're going to study more specific methods to actually work with date time information types, so don't worry about it too much right now. It's just something to keep in mind for the future. Let's go ahead and get some quick practice with the between operator in pgadmin. Okay, here we are at pgadmin. What I'm first going to do is check out the payment table, since that's what we're going to be working with for our examples. We'll say select from payment table. We'll grab everything, but just limit it to just a few rows so we can see the general syntax here and general columns. We have the payment ID, customer ID, staff ID, rental ID, and then the amount and the payment date. So we're going to be working with these 2 columns here. Let's go ahead and see if we can use between on the amount column. Let's imagine we wanted to know the actual number of payments that were done between $8 and $9. So what we can do is say select from payments where amount between 8 and 9. If I just run this, it'll give me all the results, so we can see everything here is $8.99. And if I actually wanted to know the total number of transactions, I can just count the number of rows returned, and it's 439 rows. If I wanted to know the opposite, essentially everything that wasn't between $8 and $9, I can simply add not between 8 and 9. I can run this, and then I get the number of payments that were not between $8 and $9. Let's take a look again now at the payment date column. So what we can do is, let's imagine I wanted all the payments that happened on the first half of February of 2007. What I could do is, let's just select everything so we can get an idea of what's happening here. And we'll say where the payment date column is between, and what we're going to do here is make sure we format this correctly, which is going to be the year dash the month dash, let's say 01, and we'll say 2007 dash 02, and then the 15th. So we run this here, and we can see all these payments happened between the 1st of February 2007 and the 15th of February 2007. Now, something to keep in mind, especially when you're dealing with timestamp information, is that this timestamp information includes both the date and hour, minutes, etc. So that means PostgreSQL essentially has to decide, does a day start at 0 hours or at 2400 hours? And if you're dealing with exclusivity versus inclusivity, that actually might affect your logic. So what I mean by that is take a look at the results here. They all actually happened on the 14th. So if you kind of scroll down, you'll see there's 27 rows, and essentially all the payments that happen between the 1st and the 15th all happened on the 14th. Now let's actually switch this to be all the payment dates from the 1st to the 14th. And this is where students often get confused. They would actually expect to see these results. But if I run this, you'll notice nothing gets returned. And that's because when we're dealing with this end date, it's actually only going up to the 0 hour mark. It's not going to the end, which would be the 2400 hour mark of the 14th. Which is why for these sort of between statements, when you're dealing with timestamp information, you just have to be careful of that. So you always want to double check and make sure you're getting the results that you expected. So in this case, I'd have to go all the way to the 15th to actually include information that happened on the day of the 14th. Okay, and later on, we're going to learn a lot more about how to deal with timestamp information such as this. So that's it for the between examples. Coming up next, we're going to learn about a couple more SQL keywords that are very helpful in different types of queries. I'll see you there.